This is the last trip I took before the world fell apart. 25th of January 2020, from Hong Kong to Manila. My father and I spent 5 days in Philippines, traveling from Manila to a northern Filipino town called Vegan City, in search of an old friend. This is Auntie Lori, my caretaker for 10 years since I was 3 years old, and we've been inseparable until she went back home in 2012. Yet, an unexpected turn of events has prompted me and my father to go on this journey 7 years later. You might think it's weird for me to tell this story after all this time, but truth be told, I didn't know where to start. It has since morphed and developed into something bigger. This is a story about friendship, family, and life. The start of this story, like most others of mine, was set in Europe, on a seemingly random day within the confines of Lee Towers. I was browsing through Facebook and suddenly a notification hit me, which reminded me of Auntie Lori's birthday. Now, if you know me, you will know that I don't really use Facebook, so what happened up next could have only been fate. I headed towards her profile, ready to leave a line of congratulations, and would have probably moved on. Yet something caught my eye. Have you ever had that friend, be it a childhood playmate or someone you met from school, that you spent every moment together until life separated you? The friend who you promised to never lose touch with, but eventually faded away from each other's lives. Auntie Lori was that friend of mine. I remember how I cried my eyes out when she left 9 years ago, and also how empty the house felt the first week she was gone. But life went on, and these feelings subsided. Yet, seeing this post have jolted my memories hard enough for me to leave something more than just a birthday wish. And just like that, I'm off to Philippines with my dad.
Jeepneys have been around the
Now the thought of visiting her have always been on my mind throughout all these years, but we never really acted on it. Mainly because maybe we didn't want to do it enough. So setting foot in Manila kind of felt like keeping a long due promise. The place was kind of different from what I imagined. It was a lot more busier, and it had a lot more Jollibees than I could have ever thought. Thinking back, I didn't really know her extremely well. I was just a kid, and there must be so many stories of her that I wouldn't be able to fully understand back then. But friendship is a funny thing. You don't have to know every single fact about a person to form a connection. All you need to know is where their heart was headed. And with that, we carried on with our journey.
做咩你好熱啊？好熱啊！
你唔見我喺度散緊熱咩？講嗰隻手。
你好似好 depressed 咁樣，你個樣。
I'll keep in touch.
Alright, keep in touch. Goodbye. Goodbye.
All the best.
Yes. This does not look good.
有三腳嗰隻着咗好嘅。哦，
俾呢個東西。
揾啲嘢出嚟啊！揾乜新嘢出嚟？針線。
What makes a person your family outside of blood? It could be them being there through your highs and lows, devoting more care to you than they should have, or simply watching you grow every step of the way. So in many ways, Auntie Laurie was a part of my family. As an adult, I've always been very close with my family, but the story's a bit different when I was a kid. Both of my parents were working, and even though they tried really hard to spend time with me outside of work, there's still a huge amount of time where I don't get to spend with them. So I spent it with Auntie Laurie. Now, she was the first person who taught me how to play cards. She would bring me to school, read me stories, check my homework, and hear me share dumb stuff about school that my folks don't really get to know. You may say that she was just doing her job, but for a kid, those were things worth remembering.
胡椒湯啊！胡椒湯啊！你冇攞湯啊？
On the third day of the trip, we decided to explore a bit before heading off to vegan. So we took a tour towards the Paxton waterfall. Now for me, traveling have always been the best way to connect with someone, so I've always enjoyed the trips took with my family throughout the years. Now as I grew up, it have only became easier for me to take them to places and spend these huge pockets of time together. And this trip was no exception. Good job!
Yeah, finish! Finish!
電話仲勁啊！
Hello guys! What's up? Are you having fun in the Pagsanghan Falls?
It's super wet, it's super cold.
Okay.
While reminiscing the time that I spent with Auntie Laurie, I also noticed how much my parents have aged since these photos were taken. My mom had turned from a working lady into a fangirl who spends most of her time watching mirror videos, and my dad is, well, my dad. And it scares me, because what prompted this trip was precisely the unpredictability of life. And I think it's time for me to lead you to the truth behind this visit.
So it's 5 a.m. and we're about to take this bus, 11-hour bus to vegan, and looking completely horrendous. It's not yet sunrise, so I can get to see the sunrise on the way. Guess we're gonna board the bus and set off in about an hour.
After a soul-crushing 12-hour bus ride, me and my dad found ourselves sitting at the McDonald's in Vegan City, waiting for the people that we traveled here for. Two women came through the door and walked towards us. They were Maria, Auntie Laurie's sister, and Miranda, her niece-in-law. Auntie Laurie wasn't there. I was never supposed to meet her. About 10 days before our departure, I received a message from Miranda saying that Auntie Laurie had passed away and we wouldn't be able to see her. It was disheartening because I was really eager to see her after all these years and probably show her that the kid that she had a part in raising didn't turn out too bad. But I never had that chance. Nonetheless, she offered to take us to her resting place and also meet the family. That's why we carried on with the trip in the first place. Now, I have to admit, standing before her grave was one of the strangest feelings that I have ever had. It is hard to believe that someone you have known for all these years and someone you have cared for so much in the past happened to not be around any longer. But it was a serene place to be, and I would like to think that she had found her peace.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing us here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. It's very important that you came, and at least she wish. I said it again. She wish. Her spirit is there.
Goodbye, Auntie.
The funny thing is, before setting off for this trip, I had a tingly feeling that maybe my arrival would not mean a lot to them. After all, they don't know me, right? And it had been a good number of years since I have been in touch with Auntie Lori. But something happened along the way that changed my mind. So in the afternoon, we were heading for lunch, and Maria suddenly told me to not get scared. And I was really confused. I was like, we were just getting lunch. Why would I be scared? Then she said, the restaurant owners were very religious people, so there are gonna be a lot of religious statues laying around. And Auntie Lori told her that I was really afraid of these statues, so she was just giving me a heads up. You have no idea how much that shook me, because it was 15 years ago when I told her about these statues. And Maria went on and said days before she passed, Auntie Lori kind of knew she wouldn't make it. So she just told the whole family about things that I like, things that I don't like, just for us to have the best trip. And the fact that she remembered these trivial things about me and my family that ourselves don't really remember just goes to show that she has never forgotten us. The day ended with me having dinner with the family, and these are names that Auntie Lori have mentioned to me for so many times in the past. Seeing them now kind of felt like seeing long-lost friends, and they recount stories about Auntie Lori, and it kind of felt like she was there introducing her life to me in person. Auntie Lori will be a part within me and within all of us. That night, we said goodbye to them and left vegan the next day. And that's when our time in Philippines comes to an end. I wanted to make a travel video, but instead, I found myself editing 2 years old footage and memories that I will revisit one day. This adventure had led me into confronting the morality of everyone who have had an impact on my life. It makes me want to take the time to talk to them, to know them better, and make new memories.
你對於我哋去菲律賓記得幾多嘢啊？
高嗰陣啊，最差就係搭巴士原來冇得去廁所咯，揾弊啊！
Traveling might not be an option right now, but it could have been just a celebratory occasion, a quick getaway, or just a great dinner out. Because besides of all this story is also a reminder of my own morality. It took the death of a friend to let me embrace life a little tighter.